Welcome to What's in a Game. I'm Will Jones with my co-host in person, Grace Jean. How you doing, Grace? Thanks for coming to Denver.
Hey, Will. No, it's been great. I am visiting Denver this week, and it's been really fun. I saw that you had posted online that you had
Oh,
intel
yeah.
about somebody coming to Denver, and you were really worried about backlash.
Yeah, I tweeted I have intel, which is probably the worst word to use, but I also wanted people to think it was like Russell
Yeah,
Westbrook
yeah,
as well as you, but I didn't know that it was gonna blow up as much as it did because people were
yeah.
really curious and thought I had some kind of information.
Will didn't think
Um,
that despite having lots and lots of followers and people hungry for off-season news, that a tweet about
I know.
Intel and someone coming to Denver would blow up.
I don't have that many followers, but
You have a lot more than I do.
yeah, I've never reported on anything Nuggets.
Yeah,
I'm just a personality on Twitter. So
I just exist
the
here.
only actual news I've ever reported was that I had a friend who his wife worked at a hospital. She's like a doctor, and she saw Kelly Olynyk
Oh yeah,
at
I
the
remember
hospital.
that.
And I was like, please go up to him and say and
You
put
should
in a
come
good
to
word for the Nuggets.
Denver. You should request a trade to
That's the
Denver.
only thing I've ever tried to get in on, but otherwise I had got nothing. But yeah, it's been awesome having you in Denver. You are on DNVR podcast,
That's right.
which is really fun. I'm glad that you've been meeting people in Denver and going and doing fun things. Is there anything you want to say about Denver? Anything that surprised you or that you?
Um, Not that surprised me. Like I've been to Denver before, but I hadn't spent much time in the city. Like for the people wondering, like we are celebrating 300 subs, but I'm not here to do that.
Yeah,
Kind of cat sitting for a friend right now, and it's my first time actually getting to experience Denver itself. Like I had visited to, visit Colorado Springs before, things like that. But I really love the Denver Zoo. Like, I
yeah.
think that's actually like my favorite thing that I've done here. Although, like, Will and his girlfriend took me and my fiance, who's also here in Denver with me, to film on the rocks at Red Rocks. That was my first time there. There are lots of stairs, people. So, like, all of that stuff that the Nuggets do in preseason, that's like serious, serious training. Lots of stairs, lots of altitude, but it was really fun watching the movie at that amphitheater for sure. And I just love mountains.
Oh yeah,
Um, like I live in California, but I'm from Florida, and I'm always in awe of the different mountainscapes here out west. And Denver definitely has a lot of them.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're used to the ocean, which Colorado
Yes.
is severely lacking in.
Yeah, lacking in oceans for sure.
Yeah, and moisture in the air in general. So
Yes.
that's been always an adjustment for people coming to Denver altitude and the dryness. But we did run up and down the stairs of Red Rocks, up and
I don't
down,
know about
just
running.
like
I was just
Jokic
trying to keep
and
up with
the boys.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. I'm glad you went to the zoo. I wasn't sure whether to recommend that because, it almost sounds like too cliche or something, but it actually is a cool zoo and it's like something fun to do
It's
in
really
Denver.
great. It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yep.
And I got to see lions
Hmm.
and tigers, and I might go back later this week for the bears.
Whoa, good reference.
Yeah.
Because we did go to the Wizard
That
of
was like
Oz.
right off the top of my head. Oh yeah, that is from Wizard of
I thought
Oz.
that's why you were doing it.
Yeah. We saw Wizard of Oz at Film on the Rocks.
At
That
Film on
was
the Rocks.
very fun. Actually, Will and I just got back from watching Legally Blonde the musical
Yeah, we
with
went to Legally
Tess
Blonde.
and a bunch of your friends, and everyone was wearing pink. And you guys were all like, "Oh my gosh, Grace, you're dressed like perfectly for this." And
Yeah.
like, I didn't even think about the
I
pink
can't believe
reference.
that you showed up
I
in.
just like was like, "Oh, I need to wear like clothes that are suitable for the theater or whatever for this," because it was kind of a last minute thing, and this was like, this is kind of my go-to. It's a very
Nice.
versatile dress, I
That's true.
think. Like it can be more like springy and whatever, but if I wear like the right shoes, sometimes it could be a little bit more fancy.
Yeah,
But
you can go to a show and then get on a podcast and it still
yeah,
works really well.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, but being on DNVR was awesome. That was another like totally kind of random thing. It was really cool of Adam to invite me on to talk about the summer league things, and excited to dig into some of those details in our show as well. Now that we've actually seen some of the Nuggets at summer league.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone has just been really great. I got to meet Ryan Blackburn. everyone has been like super nice to me in the Nuggets community. And that's something that I was really like worried about when like you
Whoa.
first approached me about the
Oh,
podcast,
right.
because I'm so new to the fandom. I just got into the team like a little over a year ago, and I know that it's a very like dedicated fan base because the people
Yeah.
that have been attached to the Nuggets for many years went through a lot with that team, like not just of them being bad, but like the injuries and like all of that. And then watching everybody sort of have that emotional release of like, finally getting to the mountaintop, pun intended, with the championship last year, it was not like I wasn't scared, but I didn't want to, feel like I was like just kind of stepping into something not where I didn't belong, but maybe that I was a poser.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Essentially, I
yeah.
don't have a better word for it. And I was like bandwagoning and all that. And like I obviously am because I got into the team because they were awesome to me. But I love this team, and the fan base has been really awesome. So I'm really excited to be here to celebrate 300 subs with you. And I don't want to cry, so I'm gonna stop talking.
Whoa, emotion from Grace there. No, that's awesome. It's been cool because Adam said on DNVR that you're a welcome new personality in the community, and everyone
Oh
is
my god, he
very.
said that. I like blocked that whole thing out.
Yeah, he did. He said
And I've
it.
like blocked it out because I was so nervous.
No, yeah, he said it on the show. I think it was towards the end of the show. They were thanking you, and they were like,
Oh, that's so
he
nice
was
of
saying
him.
like you're a good like addition to the community, and like I'm pretty sure everyone feels like that because you have such insight, and everyone has recognized that. And um, thankfully, you're on a podcast with me.
Yeah.
It is our podcast, so that was awesome to see, and it's so cool that you finally got to Denver. Although I am sad there's no Nuggets game for you to actually go
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But someday you have seen the Nuggets in person. You saw them in
I
Orlando
have.
playing
I
the Magic.
did see them in Orlando. I would love to go to a game at Ball Arena one day, maybe next season. I actually was talking to my friend who's a Warriors fan, and we saw that the Warriors are in the Nuggets IST group. And we'll
Oh,
talk about the IST group just briefly because we kind of got the group of death.
oh, dang.
We're in West Group B, I believe, and that is the Nuggets, the Mavs, the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, and the Warriors. So the Warriors are like the worst team
Yeah,
there, and
I
they
was
have
just gonna
Steph
say,
Curry
are they actually the worst team?
on them.
They're
I
not fully formed,
Yeah,
so
no,
yeah.
that's true, and they lost Clay this summer, and but I think they're gonna be maybe an overall better team next year. We're gonna see. Maybe they're gonna be the same, but it's a really tough group. I will say that we avoided the specific teams that I didn't want the Nuggets to have in their groups, which were specifically the Spurs and the Rockets. The Rockets, because we had them in our IST group last year. And then it ended up being that we had to play the Rockets like 4 times last year just because of scheduling and whatever. And that was supposed to be like free wins, and then it wasn't free wins. So I was just like,
Yeah,
I don't want to deal with that team. Shangun takes the Jokic matchup personally and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna be Dirk Nowitzki
yeah. Right.
against Jokic. And I'm like, I just don't want to deal with that. And Wemby also takes the Jokic matchup personally. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about the France Serbia exhibition game. But I didn't want those teams in our group. We didn't get them, but we got basically the otherwise toughest groupings that there could have been. No Thunder, no Wolves, because the seeding works out that way with how they draw the team pools. But yeah, that was just my little spiel on our
Yeah,
IST group. But how do you feel about it?
it's tough. I think the Grizzlies are going to be good again with
Yeah,
Jaw, so
yeah.
that's going to be tough.
And Zach Edey's starting to look like he's a real player. He's kind of crushing it in summer league right
I
now.
know. I mean, yeah. I mean, the only question really is that he's not like a, you know, over the top shot. Yeah, he's not a shooter. He's not like a 3-point shooter.
Not that they needed that at
Not that
that
they need
position.
that,
They
but
needed somebody to rebound.
yeah, which is going to help. And he's a big body and a good screener. As Matt Brooks
That's
and them were saying,
true.
they loved, everyone at the Nuggets practice was talking about Edie's screening. So if Nuggets media is talking about it, you know it's legit. Otherwise, yeah, the Warriors might be the worst, but it's still Steph. So
Yep.
in one game, like he can light you up if he's feeling like it.
And now we don't have KCP anymore, our Steph
Yeah,
stopper. So
it's true.
the Warriors are always a unique challenge because of the way that they play. And you can really never count them out of a single game. Like even last year,
Hmm.
as they struggled through the season, they had these stretches where they would go on, those 2017, like those Dynasty Warriors esque runs on like they could do that to any team in the association on any given night.
Yeah,
It's just tough for them to
yeah,
sustain it. So it's definitely, I think we have the group of death. Like, I think
yeah.
who is it? Can't Team Canada has the group of death in the Olympics. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to our Olympic preview
Hmm.
episodes later down the line, but they have a really tough groupie in the Olympics. I think the Nuggets have the group of death in the IST. And it's more like, well, if we had an easier group, I would kind of expect the Nuggets to come out of it, but then there'd be like random like Spurs or Rockets that kind of make it
Yeah.
difficult. With this group, it's like, hey, do try your best. If you come out of it, great. If not, it was a really tough group. So,
At least we don't have the Wolves or the Thunder.
well, yes, that's
That's the
true.
only upside,
Yeah,
really.
I
But
think
that's
the
a good
Thunder have a pretty
collection.
good group.
It's a good collection of like pretty good
Yeah,
teams.
any
I
of
think,
those teams could be playoff teams,
yeah,
like top six teams in
and
the
any of
West.
those teams could come out like winning that group. Like, because
Yeah,
the IST is weird. I
reasonably.
mean, we saw it last year, not really knowing what to expect, and to like
Yeah.
actually put stock in winning it is, it wasn't just like the Nuggets are the best team, so they should come out. It's like you have kind of the schedule's a little bit weird, and it's single games sometimes, and like the regular season
Point
context
differential.
affects it. So like
Yeah.
someone might be resting that night or something and they don't
Yeah,
really
I think
care.
people
Like,
mostly avoided rest on the IST nights.
right.
That was a thing I remember from early last season is that a lot of people, at least the like diehard, very online fans, were like excited because the games were competitive for the most part when it wasn't involving like a bad team because there were a lot of blowouts, especially in the East. But people weren't resting and they scheduled everything so that no games were back to backs for either team that was playing in an IST game that night. So that's something, right? Eventually we'll get the full NBA schedule and see if they're able to maintain that this year. I know it caused some like challenges, let's say, for the schedule makers last year. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to work around those things this year and maintain, those things that are there to like preserve the competitiveness of these games. The other big major like news item related to that is that the NBA inked their new media deal with all their new media partners, and NBC is joining the tent of NBA media partners, and Amazon is also joining the tent, and TNT/Discovery are out. So this will start not next season, but in the 25-26 season.
Hmm.
But starting then, Amazon is going to have the IST. So that is just something to look out for when it comes to accessing those particular games. Like you'll
Yeah, it's
probably
gonna
be
be
able to get them on
interesting.
Prime Video. All these companies are eventually going to make you like buy a sports package to get all this stuff anyway.
Or
But
like the price is just gonna go up in
yeah,
general.
yeah,
And then it's going to go to the players. As you're going to see, they're going to be making $80 million every season now.
the
Like,
top players will be.
all of them will be because
Oh,
the
they're
salary
not.
floor of the
Yeah, but they're
CBA. I'm
not all
kidding.
going to be making $80 million. Will
Yes. Well,
we here are pro labor.
they won't because they will be taking pay cuts.
The stars.
This even everyone at the top.
Well, yeah,
They're going to be Brunson. You know, doing the
Brunson
Brunsons.
pills.
Yeah, Brunson pilled, and they're going to take
They're like, oh yeah, we're
discounts.
all about competition. Someone online was saying that they were talking about when does it get to a point where the guys at the top are making so much money that they start taking pay cuts because there are just like other reasons too. And with Brunson, it's like
Yeah.
helping the Knicks stay out of the second apron, keeping the team together/competitive. But it's also he gets to play with all his Villanova Wildcats, except Colin Gillespie because he's a son right now. And he just gets to play with his friends
It's
too.
true.
At least for now. We'll see if the Knicks keep their end of that bargain. But
You could do a whole like show on that because the way
yeah,
that these players live their lives and the expenses and stuff, I'm sure they don't want to take massive pay cuts. They got a lot to be
no,
paying
no.
for.
And like, why
Uh,
would you? You don't become a billionaire by leaving money on the table.
yeah.
But in the meantime, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Hit the notification bell, like Will said, anything to make sure our videos make it to your feeds. Share it with your family, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies. Tell them to hit the like button and not the dislike button. Yes. All of those things. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcasts. And hang out with Will is fun too.
Yeah, in person episode.
To my surprise.
Who knows the next time we'll be in person, but
yeah,
you never know.
We don't know.
But honestly, it's easier almost doing whatever. They don't need to know the background.
They don't need to know all the work we'll have to do to set this up.
Yes.
Yeah, but I really appreciate it.
But it was awesome.
And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.